Hi, welcome you all to this special class on Unacademy Unlock YouTube platform. Today, as part of our class, we'll be discussing one of the important topics of our general studies and public administration papers, and it is the Hindu philosophy. And this topic is important not only from your prelims point of view, it is also very important from from your ethics paper point of view. It is also important from your essay point of view. As all of you know, this year in your essays, almost all essays are philosophical essays. And as part of these discussions, we will be looking at all of them in a more extensive manner over the next 1 hour or 2 hours or so. Before starting our class, let us start looking at the courses offered on Unacademy platform. As you can see on the screen here, Unacademy Civil Services Championship, certificate of participation for all the test takers, and you can win scholarship and exciting rewards up to 15 crores. The examination will be on 27th March 2022, and you can see, the awards and rewards that you will be getting as part of this scholarship also. You can see that you will be getting laptops, then you'll be getting tablets and everything else also. And this examination will be on 27th of March. So you can remember, you can note down the date. And then proceeding further, you can see that why Unacademy is rated very highly by the learners also here. You can see that it is the best in terms of class educators. Unacademy is the best in terms of class educators, and you can see that it is also best in terms of learner ratings. It is 4.4 out of 5, and it is also the best in terms of class test ratings also. Class test ratings also, it is the best, 4.6 out of 5. More than 50,000 learners have enrolled for the test series, which is very good number. And what makes Unacademy different? You have printed comprehensive notes, more than 20,000 plus questions in the practice examinations, and you also have MCQ based crash course for your examination. You also have MCQ based crash course, right? And then you also have one-on-one live mentorship also, which is very important for civil services preparation. Then proceeding further, you can see that Unacademy Lite, a prelims and CSAT test series, targets 2022 and 2023. As I have mentioned earlier, you have 50,000 plus enrollments. Ratings are 4.5 out of 5, which is very, very good. Unacademy Lite, right? Then you can see that as part of this Unacademy Lite, you have 6 months subscription. Introductory price will be 6,999. Now it has been reduced to 3,149. You will have 28 tests, 20 GS and 8 CSAT. Then you also have 12 months subscription, those who will be writing for next year. There also you have 56 tests, 40 GS and 60 CSAT, which is very, very high. Then the new batches are starting from 23rd March, that is tomorrow only. New batches are starting from 23rd March, tomorrow, for both the GS and optionals, bilingual batches as well as only English batches also. Then optional courses, Of course, our course is not mentioned here, but we will be starting also from day after tomorrow. You can take admission in all these courses using our code. You can also get started with 0% EMIs. The loan will be approved in 2 hours. There will be minimal paperwork and flexible tenures. For all these things, you can always call up Unacademy on the number which can be seen on the screen here, 85858585 and 85, right? 5 times 85. And you also have a comprehensive interview guidance program. Last year we had more than 170 selections. We have DAF analysis, flexible schedules, mock interviews, and the previous year's transcripts. Everything will be there as part of this interview. And you have experienced panel of experts guiding you on interview. These are all the benefits that you will be getting, right? You can register for them. Then you also have this Unacademy store, which has been opened recently in Old Rajan And in this Unacademy store, you have live strategy and mentorship sessions from top UPSC educators. Let me also find out what exactly it is. And state-of-the-art library also to fast-track your preparation, which is also very good. Those who are in Delhi, right? So this is what you can get on Unacademy. So these are all the the courses offered on Unacademy platform. Let us come back and look at what we have to discuss, the topic that we have to discuss for today, right? This is the topic that we will be discussing for today. And what you can do is that you can always ask me your doubts. I have my mobile here and I can see all your doubts, because the topic that we are discussing is so interesting that you will have lots of doubts. You can ask all your doubts. I will clarify your doubts as we proceed with the topic. So what are the things that we will be discussing here? Let us look at the things that we will be discussing here. The topic's name, yes, Vaibhav, we can have for 2 hours, so that we can complete the topic also. Otherwise, it will be left uncompleted. Let us try to complete it in those 2 hours. And a good amount of time will be allocated for your question answer session also, right? So let us look at what we are discussing here. You can see it on the screen. We will try to answer all these questions that are there on the screen. What is this Hindu philosophy? What are the sources of Hindu philosophy? Who are the major proponents of this Hindu philosophy? What is the essence of human life according to Hindu philosophy? What is self-actualization? What is self-actualization? Then what is the different the components of Hindu philosophy, like Advaith, Dvaith, and Vishishtadvaith? What are the major differences between them? Then what are the 6 different vices that Bhagavad Gita speaks about? Does this Hindu philosophy believe in reincarnation? What are the practical implications of this philosophy in our day-to-day life? And is there any life after death, as this Hindu philosophy speaks about? What is Nishkam Karma? What is Moksha? And what is the liberation of the soul? So these are all the questions that we will try to answer. As all of you know, I have started this in one of our special classes, and we have discussed something also in those special classes. Let us recall what we have done, especially all those who are attending it for the first time. Let me try to recall what we have done in those one class that we have completed. So what is this Hindu philosophy? Where do you find this Hindu philosophy? In starting from the beginning itself, what is philosopher? Who is a philosopher? A philosopher is the person who can be called seeker of knowledge. One who is always in search of gaining more knowledge is what we call a philosopher. A philosopher is a person who goes beyond the traditional realms of life and look at life from a much higher perspective. And since the beginning of human civilization, what we have seen is that apart from the scientific and technological developments that we keep on harping about, human beings are also more interested in finding out answers to very simple questions like what is the essence of human life? What is the reason why we have taken birth? And what should we do before we die? And how to achieve the objective that we have set for in our life. They were trying to find answers to these questions. And if you look at the Western philosophers, what do we say is that the Western philosophers, all of them had spoken about one important aspect regarding life. What did they say? According to Western philosophers, the essence of human life is to remain happy forever. That is the reason why in our essay paper also, in ethics paper also, the question was asked, what is the essence of human life? Why happiness should be the ultimate essence of human life? Because if we look at all those Western philosophers, when we read from Aristotle to everyone else, they say that the essence of human life is to remain happy forever. We should be happy. But again, what is happiness? Everyone has defined happiness in their own manner. But we will talk about that happiness also as part of our Hindu philosophy. Hindu philosophy went beyond this Western philosophy. It went beyond what Western philosophy thought would be the essence of human life. Hindu philosophy, as we have discussed, started asking the questions. Why are we taking birth? And what should we do before we die? And what is the essence of our human life? What should we do? And they try to find answers. As we discussed some time back, this Hindu philosophy was developed in this Indo-Gangetic belt. This Indo-Gangetic belt is the most fertile region in the world at that point of time, even now also. That is the reason why people had access to basic needs of life. They don't have to worry about their food. They don't have to worry about their future. They don't have to worry about their security. That is the reason why these philosophers could think beyond the immediate aspects of life. They could think beyond the immediate needs of life. As part of Hindu philosophy, they could think beyond. Whereas when you look at Western philosophers, those philosophies were developed in those areas wherein life is always a big struggle. Identity and survival is the most important thing. That is the reason why they said that we should be happy. But when it comes to Hindu philosophy, they were not worried about by these what we call lower level of needs, because all their lower level of needs are satisfied. That is the reason why they went beyond this. And that is the reason why they started asking these questions. What is the essence of human life? And what should we do when we take birth? And why did we take the birth as human being? Why not as animals or any other species? So they're trying to ask all these questions, right? And they're trying to find answers to these questions also. And did they find out answers? Let us wait and see. Let us wait and see whether they could find answers to all those questions also. And it tries to ask these questions, identity questions. Hindu philosophy asks this question, who am I? What is my identity in this world? Who am I? That is the basic question that they will be asking. Who am I? What is my identity in this world? Going to the highest level in terms of thought process. Who am I? Am I the body which I see in front of me, or is there anything below that? Is there anything much more to the body that we see in front of ourselves? So they were trying to ask these kind of questions, right? Then, Hindi philosophy also asks these questions. Do we have this reincarnation? What is life? What is death? What is life and what is death? They will ask these questions. And they will try to provide answers to those questions also. And they will ask these questions like either what is Advaith, what is Dvaith, and they will try to again find answers to them. As I said, while answering all these questions, what you must remember is that you will be covering 250 marks of your essay paper. That is the reason why you can focus a little bit more on these things. 2 hours and 250 marks. It is a good bargaining also. And then, as I said, make sure that you are coming out with all your doubts, because that is the essence of Hindu philosophy. What does Hindu philosophy says is that never accept anything on its face value. Never accept anything. If someone says that God is there, ask the question, where is God? Show it to me. Then only I will believe. That is what exactly the question raised by young Narendra, who later came to be known as Swami Vivekananda. Young Narendra had this doubt in his mind. Has anyone seen God? What is this God, and has anyone seen God? He met so many people, so many sages, so many religious persons. All of them were asked the same question, have you seen God? None of them could answer the question convincingly until he met Ramakrishna Paramahansa. Ramakrishna Paramahansa replied that yes, I have seen God. Then again immediately young Narendra has said, can you show me God to me? And Ramakrishna Paramahansa has said that yes, I will show you God also. That is how he had become the disciple of Ramakrishna Paramahansa. That is where he understood the essence of Hindu philosophy also. Of course, later he had propagated this philosophy all around the world. And he is one of those persons who had made this Advaita extremely popular all around the world. And that is what we say. The good thing about Hinduism is that, unlike other religions, Hinduism always asks its followers to, unlike other religions, Hinduism asks all its followers to not to accept anything on its face value. It says that question everything, find out the answers, get the evidence, then only you start believing in those things. There is no place for blind faith in Hindu philosophy. Whereas Islam and Christianity, they demand complete faith from their followers. Islam says that Allah is the only God and you should never question. Right? That is where religion becomes more backward when it does not allow the followers to ask questions. Whereas in Hindu philosophy, it says that never accept anything. And it says that accept something only when there is ample proof behind it. That is the reason why I also want you to ask questions whether and when you get any kind of doubt. So where do you find this Hindu philosophy? What are the major sources of Hindu philosophy? Where do you find this? As I have mentioned, you can find this Hindu philosophy in Vedas, Upanishads. The most important source of Hindu philosophy is Bhagavad Gita, the song celestial, Bhagavad Gita. And then, of course, you find this Hindu philosophy in Adi Shankaracharya teachings. He was the one who made Advaita very popular. And then, Puranas in a Chandresh Puranas, Ashtadasya Puranas, not 17, 18. Ashta means 8, Dasya means 10. 10 plus 8, 18. You find Hindu philosophy in Ramayana and Mahabharata also. In Ramayana and Mahabharata also. Puranas, they are only mostly stories only. They are very good, interesting stories. Right? They are very interesting stories. Right? So we don't have to go much into those things. And then, then we have this Hindu philosophy propagated by, in the modern times, as I said, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Swami Vivekananda, Aurobindo, Dr. Sarvilpalli Radhakrishnan, and of course the most popular practitioner of this Hindu philosophy is Mahatma Gandhi. Right? This is where we can learn this philosophy. These are the sources. As I have mentioned, Hindu philosophy starts asking this question: what is the essence of human life? Let us try to recall what we have mentioned there. What Hindu philosophy says is that at the beginning of this civilization, there is only one soul in this entire civilization, what we call the divine soul. If you translate that into Sanskrit, Paramatma, the divine soul. And he created the entire civilization. He created the entire civilization. As we said, according to physics, it is a Big Bang theory. There was big, blast that had taken place that ultimately led to the emergence of human civilization, starting with these basic amoeba and other creatures. Big Bang theory. Whereas Hindu philosophy says that the Big Bang that has occurred did not take place on its own. It was caused by God, the divine soul. It was the divine soul who decided to create the creation. That is the reason why Hindu philosophy calls this divine soul creator, who created the entire creation. Then, as we said, natural progression had taken place from the lowest level to the topmost level, the evolution process, as Charles Darwin puts it. Evolution. And this evolution process has ended with the emergence of human beings. Human being, the highest form of a species in this world, the highest form of species in this world. And what is the difference between other species and human beings? God has given all other species on this earth certain powers to survive. They have to survive the nature. They have to survive, other animals and other species. And that is the reason why every, animal on this earth is given certain powers. When God has created human beings, exactly Chandresh, I will come to all those things. Wait for some time. I will come to all those things. Wait for some time. What is the reason why the evolution process stopped with human beings only? Right? Why evolution process stopped with human beings? We will come to those things. So, as we have mentioned, every species on this earth was given certain unique powers to survive. For example, the lion is given the ferocity to survive. Elephant has been given brute strength to survive. Fish have been given the power to swim and survive in the water. Snakes have been given, the power to bite for their own survival. Birds can fly. Every species. Whereas if you take the case of human beings, they don't have any of these special powers that we are talking about. We don't have the strength of an elephant. We don't have the ferocity of a lion. We don't have the poison of a snake. We cannot swim like in a fish. We cannot fly like birds. So human beings have taken birth with so much of limitation. And God has given human beings something else to overcome these limitations. And what is that something else? He had given them the power to think. He had given them the brain. He had given them the mind. And more importantly, he also had given them the power to express their emotions. He had given them the power to express their emotions. So this is what God has done for human beings. And these human beings over a period of time have used this power to rule over the entire world. As we have mentioned, according to Hindu philosophy, what God has done is He has incarnated Himself as a human being. God has incarnated Himself as human being. That means He had put His soul in the body of human beings. And that is the reason why Hindu philosophy says that what is birth? How do we define birth? Birth means soul entering into a human body. When an external soul enters into a human body, we call it as birth. And according to again Hindu philosophy, what is death? When the soul leaves the body, it is called death. That is how Hindu philosophy defines birth and death. So, going by what we are saying now, God has incarnated Himself. God has created a soul of Himself, right? And He had put that soul in the body of human beings. And when we take birth, when actually we take birth on this earth, God has made sure that this soul, which is there inside us, will forget the fact that it is nothing but the divine soul. Please remember, as long as we are there in our mother's womb, we know that we were divine souls. The moment we take birth, we will forget the fact that we are nothing but the divine soul Himself, that is God. He made sure that we forget, the human body forgets the fact that the soul within itself is nothing but the divine soul, that is God. And God has said that let the soul within us, what we call it as the inner soul, Antaratma. That is what we call it as Antaratma. The inner soul must use this human body. The inner soul must use this human body as an instrument to realize its true self. It should use the human body as an instrument to realize its true self. That is what we have written here, the fifth point here. Self-actualization or self-realization. Self-actualization or self-realization. The soul within our body must realize the fact that it is none other than the divine soul. How? The body which it has must be used as an instrument to realize this. This is what we call the essence of human life, according to Hindu philosophy. Please remember, Hindu philosophy is the only philosophies, it is the only religion which believes that human beings are capable of becoming gods. Human beings themselves are gods. Right? Yes, Suman. External soul, or we call it as a divine soul. That is what is called God. inner soul, the soul within us, Antaratma, must realize the fact that it is nothing but an incarnation of the divine soul. Must realize the fact that it is nothing but the divine soul only. And that is the essence of human life. That is what is called self-actualization. That means we have to realize the fact that we are none other than God only. As I said, this is what that really distinguishes between Hindu philosophy and other philosophies. Hindu religion and other religions. Please remember, in other religions, Christianity or Islam, there is a clear-cut hierarchy between the God and the human being. God is always above the human beings. And human beings can never become gods. You cannot become Jesus Christ in Christianity. In Islam, you cannot even think of becoming Allah. Whereas Hindu religion says that you are Krishna, you are Ram, you are Shiva. They are all your own incarnations only. And as I said, Hindu philosophy says that once we take birth, right? Exactly. That is what is called Advaith. I will come to Advaith a little bit later. Chandresh, I will come to Advaith a little bit later. So, that is what Hindu philosophy says. It says that after taking birth, we have a special identity in this world, that of a human being. But this identity that we are talking about as human being is not our true identity. Our real identity is that we are none other than gods. We have to overcome this false identity and realize our true self. That is the essence of our life. That is what Hindu philosophy says. Otherwise, we always live in these false identities all the time. What are the false identities that we are talking about? We say that we are Indians, we are Hindus, we are forward caste, we are male. Like this, these are all false identities. They are not real ones. They are all false identities, they are not real ones. The real identity is that you don't have any identity. You don't have any identity because God has no identity. That is what Hindu philosophy says. God can never be explained because God is infinite. What is the beginning and what is the end of God? Nobody knows. And that is what you have to realize. That you are not the finite body that you are seeing in front of you. You are the infinite soul whose presence is there in this entire universe. And you have to realize that. And that is the essence of Hindu philosophy. And now let us assume that in your lifetime you have realized the fact that you are God. There are some people who have realized it. Gautam Buddha has realized it. Jesus Christ has realized it. Guru Nanak has realized it. Mahavir Jain has realized it. Right? Mahavir Jain has realized it. Then what happens? Then what happens? Then what happens? You have realized your true identity in this life, that you are none other than the divine soul. Then what happens? That is what Hindu philosophy says. It says that once you die, once you die, it says that once you die, this Hindu philosophy says, you will not again take birth again. You will be getting out of this cycle of birth and death. You will be getting out of this cycle of birth and death. And this is what you can see on the screen. It is called moksha, the liberation of the soul. Once the soul leaves the body, that is what we call death. Once the soul leaves the body, this soul will not go back into this cycle of birth and death because it has already realized its objective by using this human body. And what is the objective? To realize that it is none other than a divine soul. Then what happens to this soul? Then the soul within us, what happens to that? It will merge itself with the divine soul. You don't have to take birth again. And that is the reason why, Chandresh, you have asked a question. There is no, evolution of life beyond human beings. And what is there beyond human beings? Only God. That is the reason why, the evolution has stopped with human beings only. After that, you only become God. After that, you only become God. That is what we say moksha or liberation of the soul. And then the next question that we have to ask here is that, the next question that we have to ask here is that, is it possible to achieve this self-actualization in one birth? Is it possible to achieve this self-actualization in one life? Not at all possible. It is not possible at all to achieve self-actualization in one life. That is the reason why we have to take birth, die, again take birth and die. And this is what we call a continuous process. For how long it will continue? The question that you can be asking is for how long it will continue. As long as you will not achieve this ultimate objective. That is, as long as you will not realize that you are none other than the divine soul. If it means taking million births, fine. If it means, right, if it means taking billion birth, again, you have to take. And you are caught in this cycle of reincarnation. You are caught in the cycle of reincarnation. Right? For how long? Please remember, this time you have taken the birth of a human being. It does not mean that in the next life you will be again taking the birth of a human being. Depending on your karma actions, depending on your karma, you will be taking birth. For example, if a person is extremely lazy, who does not work at all, who always depends on others, who does not work, he will take the birth of a snake. Please remember, snake has no backbone. It cannot stand up. Right? Can the snake stand up like human beings? No. If a person has taken the birth of a snake, it means that he has never worked in his life. On the other hand, if a person has taken the birth of a tiger, it means that in this life he was dependent on his wife for his food and everything else. He is extremely lazy, his wife is working and he is sitting at home and enjoying the life. He will take the birth of a tiger. Why? Because a tiger will never goes for hunting for food. It is the female tiger, tigress, that is what it will do, all those things. And the tiger will only eat the food. So in the same manner, depending on your actions, you will be taking birth. So after taking the birth of a tiger or elephant or a pig or a fish, anything like that, again you are performing your karma there. Then if you perform good karma there, you will take the birth of a human being again. And that is the reason why we said in Hindu philosophy, Durlabho Manushya Janma. It is almost extremely difficult to take the birth of a human being. That is the reason why this philosophy says that once you take the birth of a human being, once you take the birth of a human being, you should never waste your life. You should spend all your life only in attaining self-actualization. People ask the questions. For example, the present population of the world is around 7 billion, whereas say 5,000 years back it was only say 1 crore or 2 crores. How it has increased from 2 crores to 700 crores? As I said, the answer is very simple. All those species, they are taking birth again and again and again. Depending on their karma, they are taking the birth as human beings. That is the reason why Hindu philosophy says that every species in this world has a soul. Every species in this world has a soul. Right? So this is what it says. Proceeding further, that is what in a Chandresh we say here. You're asking a question, how can he become God if he lost his identity after merging? That is what Chandresh we say. What is God? God does not have any identity. The moment you lose your identity, you become God. Right? I said God is infinite. You cannot define God. That is what Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. He tells Arjuna that, Arjuna, you can never understand my true identity. It is beyond human comprehension to understand the real identity of God, because he is infinite, formless, boundaryless. That is what we say. Right? Yes, exactly, Shubham. Some people will remember. Some people will remember. And God will make sure that we always forget about our past life. When we when we take birth again, we always forget about our past life. He will make sure that. Why? Because for the simple reason, if we start remembering about our past life, is it possible for us to lead the present life? Obviously not. We cannot, simply lead normal life. That is the reason why Shubham, those who remember about their previous birth, they remember those things only for a certain period of time. After that, they automatically forget about it. Otherwise, there is no scope for any human civilization. God will make sure that we only remember them only for some period of time. After that, we cannot. Right? So let us proceed further. Let us proceed further. This is what we have said. God has said that, I am putting my soul into a body. Let this soul use this human body as an instrument to realize the essence of life, that is self-actualization. And what is self-actualization? I said, realizing our true identity, that we are God. Right? Let us proceed further. Till now, is it clear? Right? Till now, are these things clear? Any doubts you can ask. Okay. Let us proceed further. To realize the fact that we are gods, we should know what is God also. We should know what is God also. Right? We have to find answer to this question, what is God? I am not asking the question, who is God? Please remember, I am not asking the question, who is God? I am asking the question, what is God? How do we define God? So, can any of you define God? Any of you define God? What is God? Right? Can any of you define God? Sat, Chit and Anand. Okay. I am asking what is God? Yes, God or what? Whatever you want to say. Okay, since I am asking this question, you are not able to answer. Let me change my question then. Right? Why do you call Lord Ram God or Shiva God or Jesus Christ God? What is the reason why Buddhists worship Buddha as God? What is the reason why you find all these people being called gods? Why? What is the reason why they are called gods? There must be some reason why they are called gods. Please remember, all of them have taken birth as a human being, and later they had become gods. Right? Why? Why they have taken? Why they have been called gods? What is the reason why? What are the qualities that they possessed that made them gods? What are the qualities that they possessed? What are the qualities they possessed? What is common between Ram, Shiva, Buddha, and Christ? Let us see what are those qualities. First and foremost, what you can say about all of them is sacrifice. Sacrifice. Ram has sacrificed his kingship and went to forest. He has sacrificed his kingship and went to forest because of the promise made by his father. That is why we say when you sacrifice, you become God. When you possess, you become king. The difference between king and God. Aurangzeb, he imprisoned his father to become the emperor. That is the reason why you call our emperor Aurangzeb. You don't call emperor in a you don't call Aurangzeb the god. Shiva has sacrificed his own life. He drank poison for the sake of the humanity. He drank poison. If someone comes to you and say that you have to drink poison for the sake of humanity, what will you do? You take the poison bottle and put that bottle entirely into the mouth of other person who has asked you. How dare he ask you those kind of questions? Right? That is what we do. That is the reason why we are human beings. And Jesus Christ sacrificed his life. Gautam Buddha sacrificed his power, riches, everything. So first quality of God we say is sacrifice. Okay, the first quality, the identity of God is what we call sacrifice. Second, God means universal love. Universal love. The third, God means unconditional love. Unconditional universal love. For example, what is the difference here? We always talk about true love, right? What is the meaning of this word true love? Let me ask this question to you people. All of you love your parents, right? All of you like your parents. Yes? Obviously, the answer has to be yes. Right? Right? But is it true love? Is it true love? When I ask you the question, the love that you have for your parents, is it true love? I am asking you a question, is it true love or not? How many of you say yes and how many of you say no? Is it true love? Yes, of course. Yes, Suman. The answer is no, of course. It is absolutely no. No, no. Capital letters. It is not true love. It is not true love. Right? It is not at all true love. It is called selfishness. It is called absolute selfishness. Why? That is a good question. Why? Why? Because true love should always be universal. It means that the way you love your parents, you must also have the same kind of love for all the parents in the world, not only your parents. That is what is called true love. Right? You must have the same kind of love for all parents in the world. Right? Do you have that same kind of love for all parents in the world? Do you have the same kind of feelings for all parents in the world? Right. Okay, let me ask you the question. Let me ask you the question again. Let us assume that your parents are not feeling well. They are hospitalized. What will you do? What will you do? You leave everything and go to hospital and try to serve them out of love. Right? Take care of all their needs. That is what you do. Right? Yes? Definitely yes. Now think about all those parents in Ukraine who are suffering. What are you doing? Will you go to Ukraine and do the same thing that you are doing? Why can't you say the same thing, Suman, about your parents, that it is not in my hand? When it comes to your parents, you leave everything, run, right? Right? But when it comes to parents in Ukraine, you start talking about your inability, saying that I cannot do anything, right? You know, suddenly let us assume that you have to perform a surgery. Your parents, they need surgery, and they need at least 10 lakh rupees for surgery. They need at least 10 lakh rupees for surgery, right? What will you do? You try to get money, whatever may be the means, through hook or crook. Let us assume that one of your friends' parents also will be undergoing the same surgery. Will you sell your property and finance the surgery of your friend's parents the way you do with your own parents? Right? Will you do the same thing? Will you do the same thing? Obviously, the answer is not. Right? The answer is not. Why don't you show the same kind of feelings and emotions? Why don't you show the same kind of feelings and emotions to other person's parents? Because Your love towards your parents is born out of a selfish interest. Since they are your biological parents, right? Since they are your biological parents, since they have brought up you from your childhood, that is the reason why your love for them. Whereas in case of other persons, you are not bound by any of those things. That is the reason why we say that we are human beings. Whereas in case of God, it is unconditional and universal love. God will not differentiate between the people. As far as God is concerned, everyone is the same. The problems, the troubles, their happiness, their sadness, everything is the same for God. You will become God when you reach to that level of inner knowledge, wherein you can overcome your own true self. That is what Chandresh I said in the beginning also. God means losing your identity, overcoming these artificial identities that we have created for ourselves. God means universal and unconditional love. Another quality of God that we say here is, another important quality of God that we say here is selflessness. What you must remember is that all human relations are on the basis of what is called self-interest. For example, let me give you one more example. So, all of you like your parents, right? All of you like your parents because they took care of your interest. They are still taking care of your interest. They fulfill all your needs. That is the reason why you like your parents. Now tell me, how many of you put your hand on your heart and tell me, how many of you still love your parents if they ask you to get out of the house next moment, saying that we have nothing to do with you? Will you have the same kind of love for your parents? Will you have the same kind of love for your parents? Obviously not. Obviously not. Shubham, when you say that yes, you are not honest. Had you know, that is what we say. All human relations are defined by self-interest. All human relations are defined by self-interest only. And that is the reason why we say that God means selflessness. When God does something, He never expects anything in return. Selflessness. In physics, we talk about Newton's third law of motion, right? Every action will have equal and opposite reaction, right? The same thing applies to our human beings also. If the other person is kind to us, we will also be kind to him. If the other person loves us, we also love other person. If other person helps us, we also try to help other person. This is what we say reciprocity in relationships. You love your parents and your parents will love you. Your parents love you because in their when they become old, they need your help to survive. This is what I say reciprocity, reciprocal relationships. Right? This is what we say reciprocal relationships. Then the question that we are asking here is, what is God? God means there is no reciprocity in terms of relationships. You hate God, still He loves you. You cause harm to God, still He helps you. That is what is God. I'll give you one example here. When Jesus Christ was beaten severely by the Roman soldiers, the Roman soldiers were beating Jesus Christ severely. What is his prayer to God? Jesus Christ's prayer to God. He said that, "Oh God, oh my Father," he used to call God his Father. "Oh my Father, please don't punish these people who are causing harm to me. Don't punish these people who are causing harm to me. Don't punish them because they don't know what they are doing." That is what we call God. Our ability to forgive those who are causing harm to us. That is what is called God. How many of us can reach that level of maturity? Then you become God. Then you become God. So God, when we say, has all these qualities, right? Exactly. Shubham, I will come to all those things also. Don't worry, I will come to all those things also. Right? Don't worry. I will come to what you are saying. Right? So, this is what we say, God. We say that God means selflessness. When it comes to God, there is no reciprocity. That is the reason why we say that in the kingdom of God, we say that in the kingdom of God, yes, Suman, true love is always unconditional and universal. That is what Suman I am saying. True love is unconditional and universal. What does it mean? You are loving all the parents in this world in the same manner as you love your parents. And you are willing to sacrifice everything for all the parents in the world without expecting anything in return. That is what we call true and unconditional love. True love, unconditional love, and universal love. All of them convey the same meaning. All of them will be conveying the same meaning. Right? Please remember, whatever I am discussing here is difficult to believe. That is the reason why Hindi philosophy people believe is complicated. But that is what is real. Just because you cannot understand it, it does not mean that it will become false. That is what it is real. Right? Proceeding further, this is what we have known about God. God means unconditional, universal, selfless sacrifice. That is what we define God. So let us proceed further. As we have mentioned, the essence of human life is to realize God within us, to become God. And how to realize this? This is where we talk about this Advaith philosophy. This is where we talk about Advaith philosophy. Please remember, this Advaith philosophy was first seen in Bhagavad Gita. It was there in Upanishads also. What Adi Shankaracharya has done, he has simplified this Advaith philosophy, so that even even common man can understand what is this Advaita philosophy. The basic problem with Bhagavad Gita is that it is written in a very complicated language, because of which it becomes difficult for people to understand. So, as I said, you have three different streams in Hindu philosophy: Advaita philosophy, Dvaita, and Visishta Advaita. Right? Advaita philosophy was the one that had come first in the 7th century AD. This Advaita philosophy had come into existence. It was Adi Shankaracharya. Then Dvaita philosophy, Madhvacharya, and Visishtadvaita, Ramanuja. These are all the three major proponents. As we have mentioned, incidentally, all these three philosophies had originated in South India. Shankaracharya from Kerala, Madhvacharya from Karnataka, and Visishtadvaita, Ramanuja from Tamil Nadu. All three of them had originated in South India and they had spread to the rest of the world. Yes, I will discuss all three of them. Let us start with Dvaita philosophy so that we can understand other two also. Dvaita philosophy, it means duality. It says that human beings are different from gods. The Advaita philosophy says that human beings are different from gods. God has his own separate, unique identity. So, human beings can never become gods. It says that the soul within us, inner soul, is different from the divine soul. Duality. And this is what we find in Christianity, Islam, and other religions also. The hierarchy is very much clear. God is at the top of the pedestal. Human beings are at the bottom of the pyramid. So, what human beings should do? What human beings should do? According to this Advaita philosophy, human beings should pray to God. They should perform yajnas, rituals to please God. They should recite his texts. They should practice his ideals. That is what Christianity says. It says that you must recite the Bible. That is what Islam says. You must recite Quran. Because they are the teachings of God, you must follow them. And you must follow all those religious ceremonies also. That is the reason why in this Advaita philosophy, maximum amount of importance is given to religious rituals. Maximum amount of importance is given to the traditions and customs and cultures. They give more importance to what is seen externally. For example, take the case of Jesus Christ. Let us understand this. Take the case of Jesus Christ. All through his life, he was spending his life as a very, very simple common man, devoid of all kinds of luxuries and comforts. What was his profession? Shepherd. Beyond that, nothing else. He did not have bungalows. He did not have luxuries. Nothing else. Right? Now look at Christianity. Look at this Roman Catholic Church. They lead extremely luxurious lifestyle. And look at this Christmas. Christmas has become an event to celebrate capitalism, wherein you buy all materialistic comforts in the name of Christmas. Whereas Jesus Christ, all through his life, was leading a very simple lifestyle. Right? That is the reason why you give so much of importance to the religious rituals. If you look at again Christianity, Pope has become more important than Christ. The conditions put up by Roman Catholic Church had become more important than the teachings of the Bible. Right? Please remember, Jesus Christ never propagated openly conversions. He himself was a Jew. All through his life, Jesus Christ was only nothing but a Jewish person. He belonged to Jewish race. He never asked the people to convert themselves into Christianity. Whereas what do the Christians do? They always ask the people to convert into Christianity. Roman Catholic Church, given an opportunity, would convert Jesus Christ, a Jewish person, into Christianity also. Why? Because this institutionalization of religion, you know, gives opportunity for those people to dominate the lives of their followers in the name of traditions and customs. And this Advaith philosophy is what the Vedas also, Vedic civilization was also part of. This Vedic civilization gave a lot of importance to these religious rituals, sacrifices, what you call it as bali, sacrifices. Take the case of Christianity, the same thing happens. Bakrid, you know, on the day of the Eid, you are killing those animals in the name of traditions and customs. They were necessary at that point of time because this, Islam had taken birth in desert areas. In desert areas, there is no scope for vegetables, fresh vegetables and fruits. That is the reason why they had to live by killing animals. That you can understand. Is it necessary to do the same in the name of religious traditions and customs? Is it necessary? That is what the problem with these kind of religions. That is the problem with these kind of religions. Same the case with Hinduism. As I said, Vedic religion, sacrifices, sacrifices. Vedic religion also always focuses on these sacrifices. Right? That is where the problem is. And that is where, Advaita philosophy has a problem. It always puts God on a high pedestal and it gives more importance to form than substance. It gives more importance to religious rituals, prayers, customs, and traditions. And in the process, what happens? They forget the essence of the teachings of the, you know, teachings of the, concerned person. That is where the problem is. They move so far away from God that they move so far away from God that the religion itself becomes irrelevant. And that is what actually happened with the Advaita philosophy also in India. Why? Because this Advaita philosophy was propagated by Brahmins, what we call Brahminical religion, which gave more importance to religious rituals. Brahmins considered themselves as the intermediaries between the gods and common man. Ordinary people, their life is full of uncertainties, full of problems, full of troubles, full of pain. So these ordinary people, in order to get solace, peace from their troubled life, would approach the Brahmins, saying that please perform these religious rituals so that we can get peace of mind. Brahmins in turn would say that we are the agents of God, so you have to make us happy. That is how this kind of Bali had come into existence. That is what we study Godan and Bodhan. In those days, the two important assets of people were land and cows. That is how these traditions had come up. And this Brahminical religion had become highly exploitative in nature. It had become highly exploitative in nature. That is when there was this rebellion against this Brahminical religion. And Gautam Buddha and Mahavir Jain had come out with their own philosophies to rebel against the dominant Brahminical religion. And Gautam Buddha also had spoken about Advaith philosophy only, but not as much clarity as as Adi Shankaracharya has propounded. Gautam Buddha had spoken about middle path, and he had spoken about not having any kind of agents between the God and human beings, and it has attracted people also who were suffocated with the Brahminical religion. And that is when Buddhism was becoming popular in the country. This Buddhism has destroyed the Brahminical religion. People were fed up with this Buddhism, sorry, this Vedic Brahminical religion. All of them were attracted towards this Buddhism. That is when Adi Shankaracharya had come out with a counter to this Buddhist religion in the form of Advaith philosophy. That is why Advaith philosophy had come into existence as a counter to Buddhism, and Buddhism has come as a counter to the Advaita philosophy. Right? This is the chronology. Right? If you have any doubts till now, you can ask. Otherwise, let me proceed. If you have any doubts, you can ask. No. Chandresh, first Advait philosophy has come, then Madhvacharya's Advait philosophy. Sorry, first Advait philosophy, yeah, and then Advait philosophy, then Visishtadvait philosophy. Yes, that is the chronology. Right? Please remember, all these philosophies were practiced long before these philosophers had come out with their ideas. What these philosophers have done is that they have only made their philosophies popular. It does not mean that they started those philosophies. For example, this Advait philosophy was there in the Upanishads as well as in the Bhagavad Gita also. What Gautam Buddha has done, he has popularized, what Adi Shankaracharya has done, he has popularized this philosophy. It does not mean that he was the one who propagated, he popularized it. That is what you have to remember. He popularized them only. Right? That is what you have to remember. So let us proceed and look at what is this Advait philosophy of Adi Shankaracharya. Right? What is this Advait philosophy? As I mentioned, Adi Shankaracharya has countered the growing popularity of exactly. Initially, it was Advait philosophy. When this Advait philosophy resulted in exploitation, Buddhism had come. And when Buddhism was becoming popular, Adi Shankaracharya, through his debates with the Buddhist scholars, he demolished all of them and made this Advaita philosophy popular. And Adi Shankaracharya's job was done in such an efficient manner that after Adi Shankaracharya, Buddhism had suddenly disappeared from India also. It has completely suddenly disappeared from India also. That is what you have to remember. So what is this Advait philosophy that has attracted everyone from 7th century onwards? right? That has attracted everyone from 7th century onwards. Ramanujacharya had come out with the Visishta Advaita after Adi Shankaracharya's Advaith philosophy. He had come out with Visishta Advaita after Adi Shankaracharya's Advaith philosophy. Right? So let us see what is this Adi Shankaracharya's Advaith philosophy, which has attracted people. Madhvacharya's Advaith philosophy was before Adi Shankaracharya's. Before Adi Shankaracharya. Before Adi Shankaracharya. Advaith. Right? So let us see what exactly is this Advaith philosophy. What Adi Shankaracharya has said. Time period, I don't exactly remember. I don't exactly remember the time period, Madhvacharya's. Right? Maybe I can tell you tomorrow. I don't exactly remember the time period. So, what is there in this Advaith philosophy which has attracted Advaith philosophy 7th century AD? Shubham, 7th century AD. Please remember, this philosophy was there in Bhagavad Gita also. It was there in the Upanishads also. But it was made popular by Adi Shankaracharya in the 7th century AD. It was made popular by Adi Shankaracharya in 7th century AD. Right? Any more doubts you can ask, otherwise let me proceed. Any more doubts you can ask. Right? Otherwise let me proceed. Right? Okay. Let me proceed then. Right. So, what is this Adi Shankaracharya's Advaith philosophy? This Advaith philosophy, as I said, is a counter to Dvaith philosophy. Dvaith philosophy says the duality. It says that you are different from God. It says that the soul within you is different from the divine soul. Whereas Advaith philosophy says that there is no difference between you and the soul that is there outside, what we call divine soul. It says that there is no difference between you and the divine soul. Advaita, means there is no duality. There is no duality. There is no duality in this world. What does it mean? Let us try to understand what does it mean. It says that God has incarnated himself into all human beings. And whatever the soul that we have, what we call the inner soul, is nothing but the incarnation of the divine soul. Right? What do we mean by that? What do we mean by that? It means that the person sitting next to you, sitting behind you, sitting in front of you, standing, in front of you, is nothing but your own incarnation. It means that the soul in all those human bodies is the same. The only difference is the bodies are different. Bodies are different, but the soul is the same. Right? And that is the reason why Adi Shankaracharya says that the entire world is full of myth. The entire world is full of myth, M-Y-T-H. It means that the kind of duality that we see in front of us. You see the sick person sitting next to you. Since both our bodies both our bodies are different, we start believing that the other person is different from us. Because through our senses, we can only see the difference. We cannot see anything beyond our senses. We do not know anything beyond the physical world that we see through our senses. So when we say there are 700 crore people in this world, 7 billion people, we think that all 700 crore people are different from each other. And Adi Shankaracharya says that this is not. All those 700 crore people you see in this world are none other than your own incarnation only. And you are none other than the incarnation of the divine soul. Bodies may be different, the soul is the same. That is what he says. The duality that you are seeing in front of your eyes is a myth. The reality is different. This is explained by different philosophers. For example, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa has explained this in Advaith Philosophy to Swami Vivekananda. How? He said that take 100 pots full of water. 100 pots full of water. And look into that water. You will see that there are 100 suns in the sky. Images of sun. 100 suns in the sky. Right? You think that there are 100 suns in the sky. But what is the reality? The reality is that there is only one sun in the sky with 100 different images in 100 pots. In the same manner, you have 700 crore people in this world, but all of them have only one single soul. This is what the essence of Advaith philosophy. We call it as a non-duality. There is no duality in this world. The kind of differences we see in this world are not real. That is what this Advaith philosophy says. And it says that the soul in all these 700 crore people is none other than the divine soul. Right? This is what we say. Now, let us try to understand this philosophy in a more analytical manner. Please remember, most of the Western philosophers have become followers of this Advaith philosophy, including someone like Einstein and everyone else. They were attracted to this Advaith philosophy because it is based on rationality and logic. It is not asking for any blind faith. It is based on rationality and logic. So let us try to understand what is this. Then, what is the practical implication of this Advaith philosophy? According to Adi Shankaracharya, all the problems that we encounter in this world is because of the sense of duality, which is untrue. When we overcome the sense of duality, there will not be any problems in this world. What do you mean by that? Let us try to understand. So, to explain these things, let me ask you some simple questions. Right? All of us have these emotions, right? Love, revenge, fear, anxiety, jealousy, tension, happiness, sadness. All of us have these emotions, right? Yes, all of us have these emotions, right? Yes. Why do we have these emotions? The next question that we have to ask here is, why do we have these emotions? Why do we have these emotions? Is it because of the hormones, as in a scientists want us to believe? Is it because of the hormones that work inside our body? Right? Let us try to understand them. Let me ask a question here. Let us assume that you have a sharp knife in your right hand. You have a sharp knife in your right hand. Does your left hand fear the knife in your right hand? Does your left hand has any fear of the knife in your right hand? No. The answer is no. Let us give another example here. The same knife is there in the right hand of the person sitting next to you. The same knife is there in the right hand of the person sitting next to you. Do you fear? Do you fear? Yes. Right? Yes. Okay. Let us take one more example. Let us take one more example. Okay, fine, Suman, no problem. The answer is yes. Yes, the answer is yes. Right? Okay, I can understand. That is the reason why I'm giving you next example, Suman. I'm coming to the next example. Right? Suppose the knife in your right hand, sometimes, suppose the knife in your right hand causes injury on your left hand. It falls on your left hand. There is a cut on your left hand, and blood is coming out. Right? Causes injury to your left hand. What will be your reaction then? What will be your reaction? If it causes injury to your left hand, what will be your reaction? Will the left hand take the knife in its own hand? Right? Will the left hand take the knife in its own hand and start cutting right hand into pieces? Will the left hand take the knife into its hand and start cutting the right hand into pieces? Take revenge, bloody revenge? Yes or no? Will it? Obviously, the answer is no. Right? Then you will ask me, what a stupid question is this? Why would I do it? Right? The answer is no. Let me give another situation. Go back to the previous situation. The person sitting next to you, the knife in his right hand causes the same amount of injury on your left hand. Right? It causes the same amount of injury on your left hand. What is your reaction then? The person sitting next to you has that knife in his right hand, it causes the same amount of injury to your left hand. What is your response? You will take the knife into your hand and you start cutting him into pieces. Right? You start cutting him into pieces. Right? Bloody revenge. Right? Bloody revenge. Why? Why do you have different reactions to the same incident? Why do you have different reactions to the same incident? The incident is the same, but different reactions. Why? Right? Incidence is the same, the reactions are say different. Right? Because he is different from you. He is different from you. Let me give you one more example. Right? You have two friends, A and B. You have two friends, A and B. If I ask you the question, between A and B, who is your good friend? Who is your best friend? Between A and B, who is your best friend? If I ask you the question, right? In a, in a, who is your in a, who is your best friend? You will immediately in a, you will immediately in a, say that A is my best friend. In a, you will say that A is my best friend, right? You will immediately, right? Right? You will say that A is my best friend. Right? You will say that one. A is my best friend. Let me ask you another question. Let me ask you another question. If I ask you this question, if I ask you the question, right? If I ask you the question, you know, which one do you like the most? If I ask you the question, which one do you like the most? Your left eye or right eye? Your left eye or right eye? What will you say? Which one do you like the most? Your left eye or right eye? Which one do you like the most? What will you say? Which one do you like the most? Your left hand or right hand? What will you say? You will say that what nonsense is this? What nonsense is this? Right? Let us assume that someone you have the data and you say that I like my right eye better. I don't like my left eye. Then immediately I will say that since you don't like it, give me your left eye. Right? Give me your left eye. Will you? This is again you are differentiating. Right? Let me give one more example. So that is the reason why don't come out with answers like data insufficient or inadequate. I will give you data also. Right? Don't come out with those answers. Right? Then the next question that we are asking here is, let me ask you one more question. You and your friend are preparing for this examination. Both of you are preparing for this examination. Your friend gets into IAS. You don't get any service. What is your feeling? Do you enjoy the success of your friend from the bottom of your heart? Do you enjoy the success of your friend from the bottom of your heart? I am asking, do you enjoy the success of your friend from the bottom of your heart? Yes or no? With tears in your eyes, will you go and tell your friend that I will not have the same kind of happiness even if I were to get into services? Will you go and tell your friend that I will not have the same kind of happiness even if I were get into services? Right? Will you say those things? Will you say those things? On the other hand, what is your real feeling? Your real feeling is, right? Your real feeling, Suman, let me tell you what your real feeling is. You feel like killing that person then and there itself. You feel you abuse God in choicest of the languages, saying that he has absolutely no heart. You have studied for 15 hours a day, whereas your friend has not studied at all. And that person got into services. You will say that there is no justice in this world. You will say that there is no justice in this world. You feel extremely jealous of other person. Right? That is the quite natural feeling that you have. Right? That is the feeling that you will have. Yes or no? The answer is yes only. The answer is yes only. Next, let me ask you one more doubt here. Let me ask you one more question here. What is the question that I am asking here? The next question that I am asking here is that, let us assume that you are extremely hungry. Let us assume that you are extremely hungry. Right? You are extremely hungry. And you will have, good food. You will have good food. After having good food, after having very good food, right? Shubham, first attempt, you feel bad. Second attempt, you feel jealous. Third attempt, you will kill other person. Right? Don't worry. That is what you will be doing. Right? That is what you will be doing. Don't worry. Right? So coming back here, once you have good food, right? Once you have that kind of good food, will you say that I have done such a great job? When I'm hungry, I had this food also. I have such a great job. The government should recognize my services and should give me at least Padma Shri, if not Bharat Ratna. Right? Will you say that government should give me at least Padma Shri, if not Bharat Ratna, for the services I have done? Because I am hungry and I have taken food also. Will you say those things? Yes, will you say those things? Right? You don't. Obviously, you don't. Right? You don't. Similarly, you're having, you know, similarly you're having a headache. You know, similarly you're having headache, and you know, you're having headache, and you have taken medicine. Will you say that I must be recognized my services for humanity? At least I should be called at least Mother Suman Tiwari, if not Saint Suman Tiwari, because I have taken medicine for headache. Will you say that? Yes. Will you say those things? Obviously not. Right? Obviously not. You will not say those things. Why not? Because you have done all those things for yourself. You have done all those things for yourself. On the other hand, other person is hungry, right? Other person is hungry, and you are giving him food. What do you say? You expect at least some thank you from other person. Other person is suffering from, say, headache. You give other person, I said, you give this other person some medicine. You will say that for the great service that you have done, for the great service that you have done, you must be given at least Nobel Peace Prize, because other person is having headache and you gave him medicine, right? You say that you should be given Nobel Peace Prize, right? Yes. When your parents ask you to do something in the house, when you do it, you immediately expect you immediately expect recognition for your services. You will say that no child in this world has done anything like this for their parents since the beginning of civilization. They are thirsty and they have asked you for a glass of water, right? And you have given them glass of water. And you will say that this is the best act of humanity that the civilization has seen after Jesus Christ sacrificed his life. Right? This is the best act of humanity that the civilization has seen after Jesus Christ sacrificed his life. That is what you say. You want recognition for the divine things that you have done. Now, from all these examples, let us try to analyze. You have love, you have fear, you have recognition, you have jealousy, you have revenge, you have preferences. Why all these emotions that you have? Why do you have all these emotions? Right? Why do you have all these emotions? Why do you have all these emotions? From all the examples we have given here, we have given two diametrically opposite examples. In one set of examples, you have all these emotions. In other set of examples, you don't have any of these emotions. Why? In one set of examples, you have all these emotions. In other set, why you don't have these emotions? Yes, I am asking a question. In one set of examples, you have all these emotions. In other set, you don't have any of these emotions. Why? Yes, waiting for answer. Waiting for answer. Why you have these emotions? in one set of examples, and why don't you have these emotions? Inner, why? If you can answer me that question, you have understood Advaith philosophy. Yeah, in one set, why you don't have all these emotions? In other set, why you have all those emotions? Yes, no one is here. Very simple, Shubham. As I said, you have all those emotions in the other set because you believe that the other person is different from you. You have love, you have hatred, you have jealousy, you have fear, you have revenge, you have you know, you know all other emotions because the other person is different from you. Whereas in the other set, you don't have any of those feelings because you are not different from yourself. If I ask you to differentiate between your right eye and left eye, you say that there is no difference. You treat both of them equally. You treat both of them equally because they are part of you. If you are hungry, you will have food and you will not look for any recognition for yourself because that is what you have done for yourself. If there is a weapon in your right hand, your left hand does not fear because both of them belong to you. When the right hand causes harm to your left hand, when the right hand causes harm to your left hand, the left hand will not take revenge against right hand because both of them are part of your body only. Right? You know, if you let us assume that you have got into services, you got top rank. Do you feel jealous of yourself after getting the top rank? Do you feel jealous of yourself? Not at all. On the other hand, if your friend gets top rank, you will definitely feel jealous of him. Why? Because the other person is different from you. Similarly, when you are when you have problem with your health, when you have problem with your health, you take medicine and you don't expect anything in return. Why? Because you have done it for yourself. On the other hand, if you have done these things for others, you expect some kind of recognition and reward. Why? Because you believe that the other person is different from you. Now, let us assume that the other person is none other than your own incarnation. Then will you have all those feelings? Will you have all those emotions? Will you fear about other person? Will you feel jealous about other person? Will you look for recognition from other person? Will you make a comparison between two people? Will you make comparison between two people? Not at all. And that is what is called Advaith philosophy. When you overcome this sense of duality, then what kind of feelings you have? You have only unconditional, universal, selfless sacrifice. You become God. If other person is hungry, the soul within you feels the hunger of other person. The soul within you feels the hunger of other person, and it immediately takes action. You will give food to the other person. When you are giving food to other person, you are not expecting any reward or recognition or award, because you are only satisfying your own hunger. When the other person becomes successful, you don't feel jealous. You believe that it is your own success. And you will not differentiate between people, because every person will be the same. Like the way you don't differentiate between your right hand and left hand, you have only one feeling to every person, universal love. And then in the process, you become completely selfless. And this is what we call practical implications of Advaith philosophy. Then what happens? You have only one feeling, universal, unconditional love. You treat your parents with the same kind of love as parents of every other person in this world. And you have only one feeling towards any person in this world, that is universal, unconditional, selfless sacrifice and love. Then you become God. And then you will realize self-actualization, and you will also attain moksha. That is the reason why Jesus Christ could see his own soul in the bodies of Germans, these Roman soldiers. That is the reason why he pleaded with God, please don't punish them. He has only love. And that is what Gautama Buddha has propagated. That is what you find in Shiva and Lord Ram. Right? Suman, please remember, there is no hierarchy among gods. There is only one God. And this God is formless, structureless, infinite. We have created gods, Suman. Please remember. We have created gods. Ram, Krishna, Shiva, all these gods are created by human beings only. We created them. So there is no hierarchy. God is formless. God has no form, no physical entity. That is what Islam also says. Islam says that Allah is God and He is not a human being. Right? We have created we have created these things. That is the reason why Islam opposes idol worship. And that is what Swami Vivekananda also says. This idol worship is the preliminary step towards realizing God. The much faster we come out of this idol worship and see God everywhere else, the better for us. That is what he says. Exactly. That is the reason why, Mahesh, it is impossible to put these things into practice. And that is where we have to ask the question, how can we put all these things into practice? Whatever just I have mentioned now, Mahesh, how can we put these things into practice? And Hindu philosophy has provided solutions also. It has provided solutions also. Till now, what we have seen is what is this Hindu philosophy and where do you find this philosophy? and what is the essence of this philosophy, and what are the practical implications of this philosophy. As we said, Advaita, the real essence of Advaita is that we must overcome the physical differences that we see in front of us in this materialistic world. We must realize the fact that the other person in front of us is none other than our own incarnation. So that we have only one emotion and one feeling, universal unconditional love. If other person is hungry, we will give food, and in the process we don't expect anything in return. Right? This is what we say. Then what we have to discuss here is how to realize these things, how to put them into practice. That I think we can see in our next class. In our next class, YouTube class, I will discuss all those things. Right? In our next YouTube class, I will discuss all of them. Till then, right? Please take care of yourself. Best of luck.